Good morning everybody from Cork Kent Railway Station. It's a bit cold, but yeah, always come prepared. I am taking the train up to Tralee in County Kerry this morning, and yeah, just about to head inside the railway station and actually buy a ticket this time rather than do it online, because I wanted to show you guys the ticket buying process. And I'm going to grab a coffee and hopefully our train will be on time. So yeah, in about 45 minutes we're going to jump on board. It's about a 2-hour trip up there, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. The scenery is supposed to be amazing. Come with me, I'll see you inside the station. Originally opened in 1893 as Glanmire Road, Cork Kent Railway Station was renamed in 1966 after Thomas Kent, the Irish nationalist who was executed in 1916 at Collins Barracks, Cork, following the Easter Rising. There is a bust of Kent inside the station. Through the sliding doors, the first thing that catches your eye is engine number 36, which dates from 1847 and once ran services to Cork all the way from Dublin. I wonder how long that took. And there's plenty seated to your left along with ticket machines, but as I said before, I thought I'd buy my ticket today from the festive manned ticket office just to the right of the gate line here, and as it turned out, I'm pretty glad I did. Good morning, can I buy an adult day return to Tralee please? Thank you very much. Cheers. Right, well that was fairly painless, wasn't it? What I did was I headed over to the ticket office, which is just over there, and asked, as you probably heard, for an adult day return to Tralee, and that came out at €24.15. Now, when I looked online last night, there were only flexible one-way tickets available, which were €17.99 each way. Now, I would have bought that, but as it turns out, I've saved myself around about €10 just by popping down to the station and asking for an adult day return. So yeah, maybe a word of warning, that's worth checking it out and all the various ticket options available. I may have been able to do it online, but I couldn't see it. There were only flexible tickets available. Anyway, not bad here. I have got my coffee. I've got a croissant, and it's a nice compact little station. It's the departure board up there, as you can see. The 9 o'clock service there, just to the right of the clock, is the one that we want, and so it looks like it's on time from platform 5. The gate line's over there, as you can see, and yeah, I will probably head over to the platform in a bit, but I'm going to enjoy my coffee first, and yeah, looking forward to this. There are 5 platforms at Cork Kent, and our train was leaving from platform 5. And so instead of going through the gate line here, you can use the underpass, which brings you out to the far platform. And incidentally, Cork Kent is the busiest station in Ireland outside Dublin, and the 5th busiest in the country overall. And there is a separate gate line here on platform 5, although it wasn't working at the time of my visit. Due to depart at 0900 hours precisely, a journey time today would be just under 2 hours, arriving into Tralee at 10:58. Now, it's worth noting that this service actually runs directly to Tralee, and it is one of only 3 services Monday to Saturday that do this. All the others require a change of train at Mallow. With about 10 minutes to go, our class 22,000 arrived, consisting of 4 coaches. In contradiction to the website, there was no first class section on this train, and just 4 standard carriages. Now, there's definitely no catering, so make sure you buy your provisions or have something to eat and drink before the trip. Well, I took a seat in coach A. It was a lovely morning outside, so I tried to pick one with reasonably clean windows, and unfortunately this wasn't really possible. We left on time, heading north through the tunnel that actually runs underneath the Collins Barracks I mentioned earlier. And it is now a military museum, and yeah, really well worth a visit. Now, I filmed this section of the line in reverse when I travelled from Dublin down to Cork a few months ago, and I'll link to that video up here. Its timetable to take 21 minutes to get to Mallow, and you can see the branch line here just joining our Cork to Dublin main line, but it's from Mallow that my journey really begins. First of all though, I'd have to try and sort out these dirty windows, which I'm sure other travel YouTubers will tell you can be the bane of their lives when trying to film content, especially on a beautiful day like today. Well, the train stops for approximately 5 minutes at Mallow, so I did have the opportunity to hop out onto the platform and clean a small section of window. Now, quite a few passengers got on here, so I did have to choose a seat that wasn't reserved, but yeah, once I'd done that, it did improve things greatly. With the sun in the sky, I was probably on the wrong side of the train, to be honest, but there was nothing I could do about that. It was obviously dictated by the platform the train pulled in at. The Mallow railway station opened in 1849, a lot earlier than Cork, and the station has 3 platforms, and up until 1967 also served as a junction for trains down to Waterford. We reverse out of platform 1 here with its extensive canopy and past what looks like an old engine or goods shed behind it. Thomas the Tank Engine and friend watch us go past, and then there's also the Mallow South cabin signal box right at the end of the platform. We then cross back over the River Blackwater before crossing over the Dublin to Cork main line, dropping down onto the Mallow to Tralee line proper. 61.5 miles to go according to Irish Rail, and it's all going to be single track. We'll be making 5 stops in total on this line before reaching our final destination of Tralee Casement. The first of these is Bantier, opened in 1853 and serving the village of the same name and a population of just 362. The station also had a branch line, a 9-mile stretch to Newmarket, which closed to all services in 1954. Now when you approach it from Mallow, it seems like a fairly nondescript stop this, to be honest, and lots of modern additions like the footbridge here, but the old station building on the north platform we're using today retains the station's links to the past, as does this much more interesting second footbridge we pass under as we leave. As you can see, the sun is yet to reach the fields on this cold Irish morning, but 10 minutes later we're at Mill Street, also opened in 1853. Now, I would never in a million years have expected to find anything interesting about this tiny station in the middle of nowhere. However, would you believe that Mill Street, with a population of just 1,500, actually hosted the Eurovision Song Contest back in 1993 at the nearby Green Glens Arena? And best known as an equestrian centre before that, an extra track was built at the railway station so it could have 2 trains stopping at any one time. Now this was all Linda Martin's fault, who happened to win the contest back in 1992 with the song Why Me? Does anybody remember that song? Well, I'll tell you what, I bet the residents of Mill Street were thinking, why us? When thousands of people from all over Europe began descending on the tiny village at the time. Mind you, it certainly put the place on the map. And guess what? Ireland actually won it again that year, Niamh Kavanagh this time. It's like Johnny Logan all over again, isn't it? Remember him? Well, I remember planning to visit this station back in 2023, but, you know, what's another year, eh? Anyway, I had images of Ted and Dougal sinking my lovely horse at this point. Mill Street is unsurprisingly the smallest place to have ever hosted the event, and since then the 8,000 capacity venue has hosted such prestigious events as World Championship Boxing and gigs by massive bands like Pearl Jam, The Prodigy and James Blunt. And it's even played host to the European Juggling Convention twice. And this is why I love travel. You know what? It occasionally throws up these totally random and unexpected factoids you'd find hard to believe at the time, but yeah, once you know about them, you'll never forget them, will you? Absolutely priceless. Okay, so a quick look at the seat, a very bog standard Irish Rail Class 22,000 seat in this, 2-2 configuration throughout, and mainly table seating with some airline style seats at either end of the carriage. I did want to point out that there are conventional plug sockets underneath the tables because I did miss this in my last video. USB sockets as well. The seats, in my opinion, are absolutely fine on these trains, are comfortable for the length of journeys they're used on, and I still think that somebody would benefit from operating a catering trolley on these services, but as I said earlier, nothing was available at the time of this video. Right, we're headed towards County Kerry now and onto Rathmore, which is just over the border with County Cork, and opened in 1854, serving the town of the same name with a population of just 750. Rathmore actually hosted the Football World Cup in 1928. I'm only joking this time. There is actually a passing loop at this station, and we wait here for the train from Tralee, which arrives on the eastbound platform. And then we're back on our way, making good time as we head towards another interesting station on this route, Killarney. Killarney then opened in 1853. You can see our line continues over on the right here towards Tralee. But Killarney was the original terminus before it was extended to Tralee 6 years later, and therefore we have to continue into the station, arriving into platform 1 before reversing out a short while later. Now most of the long platform here is uncovered, although there is a small roof towards the buffers, and it reminded me a little bit of other terminus stations like Thurso in Scotland, or even Tralee itself, which we will see a little bit later on. Anyway, I had a couple of minutes here, just about, so I was able to get a bit of fresh air and try and figure out exactly what was going on myself. Right then guys, at Killarney, where I believe the train pulls into the station here, which is a terminus, and then it will reverse out down into the shunting neck, and then it will carry on towards Tralee. I'm standing in the door because I didn't want to get caught out. Right, the door's closed. We should be on our way pretty shortly. Let's have a look. Now, I was assuming that once we pulled into Killarney, the driver would walk back up through the train or alongside it and reverse it back out the station, and then they'd just change cabs to the other end again and drive it on to Tralee. But no, I didn't see anybody doing that, although there was another member of staff aboard, so maybe there were two drivers. If anybody knows exactly what happened here, guys, then please let me know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate a definitive answer on all this. I mean, personally, I don't see why they couldn't have built another platform up here on this bit of car park and done away with the terminus altogether. I mean, they've had about 170 odd years to think about it, but yeah, I guess it does retain its quirkiness, and that isn't a bad thing in itself, is it? Farranfore next opened in 1859. It is the penultimate station on this line, and whilst it's named after the tiny village next to it, it is surely better located for passengers wishing to travel to and from Kerry Airport just to the north. It looks to be about a 20-minute walk alongside the N23 here. I'm not sure how easy the walk is, to be honest, but I might try it next time I visit the west of Ireland. I mean, it's not a massive airport by any means, but it is convenient for this part of the world, and At the time of this video, there were several scheduled flights listed on its website, including Manchester, Luton, Stansted and Dublin, all operated by Ryanair. If you've ever flown to or from Kerry Airport, let me know. I'd be interested to hear of your experiences. Before we reached Tralee, I tried out the Wi-Fi, which is normally pretty good with Irish Rail. And unfortunately, it wouldn't connect this morning, so yeah, I was left with my 4G signal only, which was pretty good to be fair. It didn't work on the way back either, so yeah, the issue wasn't actually confined to this particular train. You will be fine for most of the way on 4G if you have enough data. So, arriving into Tralee Casement Station, the end of the line, these days anyway. Opened in 1859 as Tralee South, it was renamed after Roger Casement, another of the Irish nationalists executed for treason in 1916 after attempting to gain German military aid for the Easter Rising. Now the station itself, well, yeah, like I said, it's a terminus these days, but I had a bit of a wander around after leaving the train and found many traces of its former life, where the line used to carry on to Limerick and Fenit on the Great Southern and Western Railway, and over to beautiful Dingle on the Tralee and Dingle Railway. Before that though, I grabbed my bag and made my way onto the platform where I just took a minute or two to summarise the journey. Right guys, yeah, Tralee at the end of the line. It's a beautiful morning for it, isn't it? I'm struggling a little bit with the glare from the sun and the dirty windows on the other side, but yeah, that's the way it goes. I hope I showed you some of the highlights of the line, and yeah, I really enjoyed it actually. Probably getting on towards a couple of hours or so from Cork this morning, and I've got a couple of hours here in Tralee now. I have been here before, many years ago, when I used to do a lot of sort of hitching around Ireland and all that kind of stuff, but I can't remember much about it. So yeah, I'm gonna head off, probably get some brunch and do a little bit of an explore around the town. And yeah, like I said, it's a beautiful day for it, so I'm gonna make the most of it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you can join me on another adventure soon, and as always guys, cheers for now.